further ado, this next guy I'm very looking forward to seeing. I'm sure a lot of you are, because I think a lot of you actually came with them. So, stamp your feet, clap your hands, and get ready to say for Riks.
You alright? Now, it's common fact that people often talk in excess about things that their life's lacking in order to compensate for it. So, on that note, I'm going to talk to you about sex. It wasn't that long ago that I came out of a long-distance relationship, so you can imagine it was with its problems. Like, sometimes I actually had to see her. Imagine that. I'm being unfair though, she was actually quite a nice girl, until she fell in with a bad crowd. Role players. Now, I'm not talking the dirty doctor gives the naughty nurse a smear test on a coma patient sort of role playing. I'm on about 30-year-old men with beards and capes running around a forest with cardboard tubes fighting imaginary dragons, while their mums wonder where they are. Now, I'm not one to begrudge anyone a hobby. I mean, I myself am a huge geek. Socially crippling, so. But when your weird hobby finds its way into my sex life, I draw the line. Case in point. We're in bed, getting a bit kissy-kissy. She's licking my neck a little bit, as you do. She comes up to the ear, has a bit of a nibble. Quite enjoy that. See now? And then she whispers. She comes in close and she whispers. She says, "Do you want to use the dice?" Now, I'm going back to a previous relationship at this point with a girl who had dice, and some of you probably know them. You, not so much, but they have an activity on one and a body part on the other. So, stroke hair, kiss lips, punch face. I'm pretty sure that she wrote that on herself. You know, we were having some issues. So I'm like, let's use the... Alright, fuck it, yeah, we'll use the dice. So she reaches into her bedroom drawer. She pulls out the dice, puts them in my hand. And they're a bit weird. The first thing that I noticed about these dice is that there's 10 sides on them. Which, for anyone who knows anything about regular dice, that's 4 extra sides per dice that is needed for kinky shit to happen. But I'm thinking, alright, I like this, you know, it's raising the options, we're going to get a little bit experimental, probably going to get anal, it's all good. But these dice don't have words on them, they have numbers, so I'm thinking, alright, it's code, it's a surprise. I'll go with it, alright, let's do it. So I roll the dice, and I roll a 5 and a 9. She picks them, she goes, "Ooh, you rolled a 59. I'm like, I rolled a 59, I'm definitely sticking it in there. She goes, "Oh, you rolled a 59. I'm like, I did, I rolled a 59. She goes, "Unfortunately, my defence is 61. You failed to penetrate me." Good night. Rolls over, goes to sleep. Such is life, I suppose. Now, it came as a bit of a shock, but in hindsight, it probably shouldn't have come as so much of a shock. I mean, weird shit like that happens to me all the time. Like, for my 21st birthday, my dad and his new family went away to Disneyland and left me here in the rain. Thanks, Dad, I love you too, mate. But it's alright, they honestly tried their best to make it up to me on my 22nd birthday with a surprise family trip to a strip club. Yeah, that wasn't awkward at all. Now, the fact that I've gone there with my dad, my stepmom, and my girlfriend at the time, the one with the good dice, the normal dice, not dice. Now, that was awkward enough, but when I'm sat down, dressed like an 80s reject, but I'm a fan of Magnum PI, so whatever. My stepmom and my girlfriend start trying to pick women out for me. Yeah, it's my birthday, it's my treat. Alright, I don't like it, but I've got a smile, I'm drunk at the time. But they're looking at assets in these women that I wouldn't normally be looking at. you know, oh, look at that one. Hasn't she got nice hair? It's all right. Look at those shoes. Oh, they're fabulous. You're all right. Come over. Oh, excuse me. Where did you get that dress? I'm like, is this ever going to fucking end? You know, I just want to see some tits and go home. This is depressing. I would have rather than got to Disneyland again and suffer this. That's just me, I'm selfish. So eventually, I picked one out. The one with the least track marks on her arm. You know how it is when you go to a shop with your mum or your dad or your girlfriend who's got a better job than you and makes you feel like nothing every time she looks at her bank account and smiles at you with that smug little grin that says, there's nothing worse than being at a shop with someone in that sort of situation and you start fumbling for money. You're like, oh, I fancy a Mars bar. Shit. Yeah. And they pull out a 50 and look at you like, now imagine that in a strip club. I'm there, it's my birthday, and my stepmom's fumbling in a handbag for a purse. Oh, come here. Pulls out a tenner, gives it to the woman. She doesn't put it in a string, she's quite civil about it, she's polite, which is not anything I've seen in that woman since. And the woman with the least track marks and the smallest roots in her hair leads me out to a curtained area. Now, I'm assuming at least half of you, possibly the ones with penises, have been to strip clubs before, so... But for those who haven't, the way it works is you sit down on a bench that's kind of icky. You put your hands on either side of you as, I'm guessing, so you don't catch anything. And she goes about derobing in that way that made her parents ever so proud when she told them. So she's just doing her business. It's a job, a job's a job. You know, you've got to make money somehow. Some ways are more respectable than others, but I'm not really one to judge, am I? And that's about a minute in, and she turns to me and she says, "You don't speak a lot, do you?" The fuck am I supposed to say? You know, am I supposed to turn to her and go, "Oh, sorry, can you just have a look down the hall, see if my dad's enjoying himself?" Way to make an awkward situation a little bit stranger. But I try my best, you know, I try my best. I'm like, alright, you're quite good at this, aren't you? She's like, yes. Because apparently now she sounds like a man. And I follow it up. I'm like, alright, well, you're obviously experienced in the ways of derobing in front of strangers for immediate amounts of money that hopefully pay for your child's education in the future. But how long have you been doing it for? Oh, that long. Did your dreams really die that young? It was at this point I was promptly escorted out and I got to actually enjoy my birthday. Go figure. Now, I'm going to leave you with a piece of advice. It's for the men and for the women. If you ever ask your man to do this, you have no soul, no heart, and you're probably going to die alone. I learned this when I was in Venice with the girl with the shitty dice. No matter how much of a good idea you think it is, or how kinky you think it's going to be, or how much she's going to enjoy it, never, under any circumstances, Ricky, pour Jägermeister on your penis before a blowjob. It fucking hurts. But I enjoyed it so you guys don't have to. My drink's empty, so I'm done. You've been fantastic. Thank you very much.